All right. Uh, so this is our first public live stream, and it's Tony from VR Reviews, and I am Greg from King of Nerds, of course. So Tony and I met through. I reached out to Tony. I'd seen some of his videos, and I had some questions for him as just a fellow YouTuber. And since we're both VR YouTubers, I thought that this would be easier than or we'd have more in common. But that's how we met, and we've gotten to this point now that we've decided to since we're both fairly new, we thought we would try something like a live stream and see how that goes, since neither one of us have done that. So real quick for Tony subscribers, my name is Greg. I'm with the channel King of Nerds, and you can find me if you search for King of Nerds VR. And then Tony, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so as Greg said, I'm Tony from VR Reviews, and you can just type into YouTube VR Reviews. I should come up there. You might have to filter by channel, but you'll find my content there on YouTube, or it should be there.
Yeah.
It's great to have this chat, Greg. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. And poor Tony, he keeps hearing me talk about how, like, wow, you're in Australia and I'm here. Isn't the time difference crazy? And like, it's fascinating to me, but I'm sure you're used to it.
No, yeah, it's still hard to get my head around. 8 a.m. here, and we're about where you are.
You're at 8 a.m. tomorrow for me. I'm 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. yesterday for you. So it's nuts, man. All right. So we were talking about like what our respective channels do. And I've not had any guidance for myself, or I've not really taken any specific direction other than just like, let's just go ahead and make videos. But I think, I do, like, I've been doing accessories and I've been doing games, this general type of things. But Tony, you, based on the name of your channel, VR Reviews, like, just tell me what's been the inspiration or like the guide for your channel?
Yeah, just generally, I started that channel when I got my Quest. I actually got my first headset, the CV1, the Oculus CV1, back in 2016. And it's only when I got the Quest that I had this idea of doing my own channel. I kept it VR Reviews because even though I do focus mainly on Quest content, and I still do, I didn't want to box myself in a corner and
smart.
get too specific. So I kept it VR Reviews, so it's always open to include more stuff in my channel. But it's mainly Quest stuff at the moment. With potential of branching out if and when, some more exciting headsets as well come out in the future, which we'll chat about today, I know. But so that's pretty much the inspiration behind everything. And of course, like yourself and most other YouTubers who delve into this kind of stuff, I have a massive passion for anything VR or AR, or they call it now XR, which covers everything.
Yeah.
All these mixed reality kind of terms. So yeah, that's pretty much my background. How about yourself, Greg?
So like one of the very first videos I ever made was you're trying to think like, what kind of video do I want to make? And the thing I wanted to communicate to everyone was like my love of VR, because, you and I are relatively the same age, went through a period where VR was like, there was the lawnmower man, right? And like Sega was coming out with their VR headset. Nintendo was rumored to have something that was VR. And then it just all come like early 90s just disappeared. But like they just like left this like hanging there, like VR. And so, at that point it was like a thing of Star Trek, and you've got like the holodeck, which isn't VR, it's it's holograms, but still it's the concept of being someplace that you can't be and experience something that you're probably never going to experience. So around 2016, when VR just kind of came on the scene, but between both the Vive and the original Rift, I was in heaven, and I was the guy that was going to like all my friends and family. I was going to like Christmas gatherings and stuff, and just being like, you guys have to, like, it's in my hand. I've got my PC, like, on a cart. I've driven to another city and brought everything. I'm setting things up. And that, at that point I was just like, I want to tell more people about this, because the only way you could get people to understand VR, because they knew what it was, everyone of every age knew exactly what it was, but you're just like, you got to try it. And they're like, well, maybe someday, I can't afford it. And that's when you just like, you start unplugging everything and you go over to someone's house. So I had so much positive, like, people just overwhelmed. Like, one guy cried. He was just like, this is everything I've wanted. And my first big VR experience wasn't like the first time I put it on. But it was that weekend where I was, I forget the name of the game, but I was standing there and there was a UFO like hanging like, 30 virtual feet in front of me and up, and there's this guy standing on it and he's talking to me. And I was just like, you know, you can try to describe that to people. And I did. And they were just like, oh, that's nice. And you're like, damn it, but that was my thing. I'm just like, because it checked one of my boxes. Like I want to time travel, I want interstellar travel in my lifetime. But like VR was one of those things, and like aliens, UFOs, like just wouldn't it be cool to see that? And so it, for the first time, checked one of those boxes for me, but virtually. I'm like, okay, like I'll probably never see like a real UFO in my lifetime, but it looked like one was there. And that was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I had the same kind of thing, like just with the mind blowing experience. I think that's why VR hasn't grown as quick as I expected it to be
Sure.
honest, because I think it's one of those things you got to try,
Yep.
And the first time I tried it was actually my brother. He bought the original CV1, and at that point, it didn't have any touch controllers with it, so it was just the
Right.
headset and the base stations
Yes.
at that point.
Yes.
So you didn't get the full immersion.
Yeah.
And I remember putting it on, trying that. There's like a Unity demo. There's a demo. I don't know what the names of these are, but there's a
Was the
demo with the
Italian
T-Rex.
villa, right? It was called Tuscany.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And there was one with a T-Rex, and it was like you're in a museum, and this T-Rex sort of. And anyway, so I remember putting that headset on and just mind blown,
Yeah.
and thinking everyone has to experience this. And the problem is, I don't think enough people have. But hopefully, with these meta stores coming, more and more people, and with Apple's potential new headset coming,
Sure.
because
Sure.
Apple will be showing it in their stores too.
Yeah.
People will be donning their headsets more,
Yeah.
get thinking, oh, let's pop in, give it a try,
Yeah.
and going, wow, I need to get one of these.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see more of an explosion coming soon.
Oh,
Whereas
and
really it's been quite slow.
the fact that Apple's even talking about it, or the fact that there's even rumors that Apple's working on it,
Mm, yeah.
says something about the current state of VR, because VR, like Apple, was always, about to die. Like it's
Mhm.
like, 30 days from running out of cash, that no one wants VR. It's, no one wants to put something on their face, Um, so a buddy of mine, Andrew, has said that his favorite experience, or the experience that got him, was Vader Immortal and seeing Vader life size for the first time. And I remember playing Vader Immortal, like, and it feels like last week, but it's a couple years ago now. And
Mm,
having that like existential dread of like, here's this imposing figure. And you always knew since you were a kid that Vader would scare the hell out of you.
yeah.
But now, like, he's taller than me, like, because it's a great thing I love about VR. Like Andrew, he and I are either the same height or he's a little taller. And it's not something that I think he or I are used to, like,
Mm.
and Tony, I'm sorry, I don't know how tall you are. You could be 12 feet tall for all I know. But,
No, no.
but
Almost 6 foot.
well, there you go. Yeah. So you're taller than average. And so, there's a point where like, you don't see as many people that are as tall as you. And then in VR, everyone can be taller than you because they can always just look
Mm,
at your height and then add a foot.
yeah,
So to see Vader standing there and like, it's so imposing. And like, that's the power of VR, which goes back to your
yeah.
point, is something that someone can't experience when you just tell them about it.
That's it. It's that feeling of awe, and it's something, yeah, you just need to try. And
Yeah.
with VR, it can generate those feelings of awe that you just can't get from flat screen experiences or real life, because
Yeah.
obviously it's just a whole different ball game. And I remember an experience in, I think it was that I can't remember the name. It's the frisbee game in Zero Gravity with these robots that throw a
Yeah.
disc.
Yeah.
Um,
Since
it
when
escapes me.
we're on the spot, we can't think of it, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I remember one of the moves you can do is grab your opponent, right, and push them away and these sorts of
Yes.
things.
Punch him in the
And I
face.
remember, yeah, that's right. I remember someone grabbed me by the neck virtually, and I had this visceral reaction of like anger, like wanting to
Yeah. Right.
hit out, as if someone had
Yes.
actually grabbed me by the neck. And it took me like just a couple of seconds to, just kind of snap out of it and go, wow, that was such a like powerful experience.
Right. Right.
Um,
An Echo
you know,
Arena, Echo Arena, by the way.
Echo Arena, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Such a big reaction, such a powerful reaction.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was one of those defining experiences that made me think, wow, like this has so much potential.
Yeah.
And also, ethically, there are some ethical things here as well that, we have to be careful with, because it
Yeah.
has the potential to be. Yeah.
That is a really big challenge, I think, for I mean, you've probably played a lot of Rec Room. I mean, I've played a ton of Rec Room, and it is, when you're in VR, someone can just do whatever they want. I mean, granted, they're not really making contact, but if someone wants to be lewd and, pretend to touch you in some place or whatever, or hit you, and there's not too much you can do to stop it. I think that I don't think they have anymore in Rec Room. Even though last time I checked, they still advertised inside your dorm room. Was you could put your hand up, and if you kept your hand up in front of someone, like say stop, then they would go transparent. You can't hear them. They can't hear you. They can't see you, which I thought was brilliant. But I can imagine certain situations, specifically women that are having to do that constantly, and that's going to be it's a challenge in Horizons as well. So I'm going to add one more here. D Phillips here is my friend Dave. Gladys in the lab. Do you remember the first time you saw Gladys in the lab?
No, I don't recall the first time.
She's huge because, in Portal, you see GLaDOS or whatever her name is, and you just kind of get this idea that she's maybe half of my body or something. But in the game, she comes down and she's on that giant crane, robotic arm, and she's about looks like half a car is how big she is,
Yeah.
And you're taken back. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there is a home environment that you can get for the Quest, an unofficial home environment, and it does feature is like a Portal home environment where it has GLaDOS in it, and she comes kind of down. So that's
It's like it's animated.
Animated, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
animated too. It's this really cool home environment. So that's probably my best experience I've had of that in VR. Obviously, it's not identical, I don't think, but it's pretty good rendition of the game. So
Yeah, very cool.
yeah,
Well, one of the things that you and I want to talk about, we wanted to really just kind of cover two topics, and Cambria was our first one. So Cambria was announced last year by Meta. I don't know if they were, or I guess they were Meta. They were officially Meta in that video, and they had shown a little bit of Cambria, and since then there's been a little bit more shown. But how about you introduce the rest of Cambria and get us started?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, we know more about Cambria in the past few weeks than we have over the past, months and even years, because quite a few things have been dropping. I know it's going to be released this year. Mm-hmm. It's going to be focused, as far as I understand, on work use cases. So it's not going to be like a gaming platform. So it's not going to be like Quest 3, as far as I understand. It's going to be a different target audience to it. And to that, I don't think there's going to be even controllers. It's going to be sort of hand tracking kind of stuff. It's going to have a big focus on mixed reality too. So I know the color external cameras, which will make mixed reality even better. Because obviously, as we know, the Quest and the Quest 2 have those grainy black and white things,
Yeah, right.
and it doesn't make for a great mixed reality experience.
Right.
And a face and eye tracking is another key feature. So I think that's, in my mind, to make the metaverse an even greater reality, because obviously be able to track your face and your eyes, and that be reflected in your avatar. And so social experiences will be that much more realistic.
I'm really looking forward to eye tracking, first of all, because you've got that, we currently have a foveated rendering where the center of your vision is a higher resolution than the outside, which, allows the headset to perform faster, but only the things in the center of your vision. So with eye tracking, the ability to move that higher resolution spot with where you move in your eyes, that sounds fantastic. But then also, and this kind of goes back to just what VR means to us and what we originally talked about, the impact it has on you. And there's something lost, when you play, let's say, poker with someone in VR, you're just looking at still eyes. But I saw like a couple of years ago, one of the original eye tracking demos, and you saw the eyes moving. So they did a before and after. One was just a person saying hello, it was just like an anime character, and it was a person in VR, and they were moving, but the eyes were still. And then they turn on the eye tracking, and like that sense of like, whoa, this is a person, came to life. And that it creates a humanity to the person, and they become real. And maybe that's the thing that like will stop online harassment of another person, because like, oh, that person just looked at me when I moved, as opposed to it looking just like a giant, mascot from some sports team.
Very true. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just that another step closer to making these interactions and more realistic in the sense as well in the workplace, because I do a lot of Zoom meetings and calls and things like that in the place that I work. And it just pales into comparison when it comes to meeting someone in virtual reality.
Yeah.
And it just adds that another layer of realism that maybe employers will be more open for people to be working from home in these VR headsets. You never know. Project Cambria might be the device that further drives or pushes this revolution towards working from home, given that, you can have these social interactions now, which are becoming closer and closer to how they are in real life. And it makes it, to me, a lot more enjoyable to meet someone in this kind of semi-realistic environment,
right,
than it does over a flat screen. It's a completely different experience. And so what I'm excited to see with Project Cambria, because it is work focused, to see the impact it does have on the workplace, and to see if it does result in more people working from home using these headsets and wanting to use these headsets for work purposes. Because I don't know about you, but I know Quest 2 you can use for work. However, I don't really feel that urge to use it, because I don't think it's quite there yet in terms of, sticking it on my head for 6-7 hours a day, doing work. I don't
You're gonna
think
have
it's
a
quite
callus in
there
it,
yet for that purpose.
It's the hand tracking, although I think I'm especially interested in what's coming, where it's the second version of it, where you can actually put your hands together and one doesn't disappear. But the delay and the lack of any type of feedback, which, short of having haptic gloves, I don't know too much of how they're going to do that, but grabbing something and it not happening as purely as it does with the controller, and not having that feeling that you actually held on to something, maybe it's something we get used to. But I can say, like right now, like moving a window with my hand and like by pointing like a finger laser at it, it's not a bad experience. It's just not a fun experience.
Exactly. Yeah, I get the same kind of feeling. And so I want to ask, like, the big question: would you get a Project Cam at the moment? From what you know of it, is it something that you would invest in?
Yeah, I would, because the thing that I'm most looking forward to is if they really do have the cameras on the controllers. Those cameras are supposed to do tracking just like they do on the headset of the Quest 2 now. And that's supposed to, because like I loved bow and arrow games. I still love bow and arrow games. And, PC VR, you've got the outside in tracking. So you can put your hand behind your back and it sees your hand. So when you draw an arrow, you go past the cameras on a Quest. And so it kind of gets lost. So I found myself compensating and not doing something that I would do in real life, which is the opposite of the whole purpose of virtual reality. It's supposed to get so close to reality that you feel like you're really there, right? And if I'm doing something other than what I would do, then it's not the VR, at least not the VR I want. So like one of my favorite games is In Death, and it's a bow and arrow game. At one point I was like third in the world, which doesn't really mean much because, if you stop playing after a while, everyone else passes you up. So it's really who plays the longest will eventually become first in the world. But this is before the Quest. When I switched over to the Quest, not switched, but when I got the Quest and when In Death came out, and that first time I pulled back and it lost my hand, I was like, this is not, it was like moving the window with my fingers. It was frustrating. I loved it. I'm glad that In Death is on the Quest, because it's a great game. but that disconnect, like that mental disconnect, just was like, that's it. Like I can't play it as much as I'd like to play it. And I think Cambria could solve that by having a camera on the controller and seeing, because it's still looking, even though the front ones can't see me. So that'd be
Yeah,
fantastic.
absolutely. Brilliant. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think that's a huge selling point, and
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see, because I know it's going to be linked to the Quest too. You're going to have some sort of link there, and it'd be interesting to see how far it goes down the game path. Because we saw that demo that Mark Zuckerberg was demonstrating in his quick video where he put it on, and there was like an animal he was interacting with.
Right.
And even though it's for work purposes, obviously that demo was game focused.
Yeah.
And so it'd be interesting to see how far down the gaming path the Cambria goes.
Yeah.
Because I do feel though, even though it's focused mainly for work, I do feel there's huge potential here for gaming. And for me, whether I buy it or not really depends on a couple of things. I think firstly, price point. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I know it's going to be more than $1,000.
Mm.
Um, I've got something in my head. I don't know how accurate this is, but somewhere around the 1,199, 1,399 around that area. That's
Wow.
just
Yeah.
something that comes to mind.
Right.
Um, and if it's around that area in terms of price point, then I'd happily pick it up, given the extra tech and the that you do get available for it.
Sure.
But the other thing that really will sell it for me is the comfort factor. So, like I said, with the Quest 2, I mean, I've got the deluxe audio strap and a few other things that make my experience as comfortable as possible for my Quest 2. And I would say it's at an acceptable level of comfortability, but even then, I wouldn't want to put it on my head for hours and work in it. It's
Right.
not to that level yet.
Right.
But if Cambria can offer something more comfortable than that, that makes me actually want to put it on my head, then I think that's going to be another huge selling point that will make a break it for me.
Yeah. 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 The Cadillac of VR is supposed to be the Valve Index, and it definitely, it's got that denim inner lining, and it feels very nice. But at the end of the day, you still have something sitting on your face and potentially sitting on
Mm.
the bridge of your nose. And I agree, the Quest feels very good, but like people search for videos of how to make the Quest more comfortable, and a lot of people will
Mm.
stop playing altogether if they can't get it comfortable enough, and understandably. So you were talking about price. The Quest, they're losing money on the Quest. They're
Yeah.
selling them it was $400 previously, and then they went down to $300, and it didn't get cheaper parts wise. It probably, if anything, it probably got more expensive. They're just trying, to push them, and we didn't know that a year later they were going to change their name to Meta and then announce their whole online metaverse initiative. But the Quest is probably more realistically, and me just guessing, I have no knowledge. I would say that they could probably retail that at $600 to $700,
Mm.
because I know like Vive, they came out with a Vive, and it's still out there that existed for a number of months before the Quest 1, and it was like $700-800, but it did
Mm.
basically all the things that the Quest and Quest 2 do. And
Yeah.
they just didn't have the capital to back it up and sell it as a loss leader. Um, so yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for AR. I don't see people walking around with anything the size of what we've seen at the Cambria outside their house though, or outside of work. Like AR is good, but and to have better cameras is good, but it's just another step in the meantime, I think, until we eventually get to glasses or something else.
Yeah, I do think exactly. I agree. I reckon that the glasses are really the end point, where everyone's adopting this kind of tech because
Sure.
it's so seamless. And you're right. I think, well, we do know that obviously Facebook or Meta, they were losing a lot of money on their quests. And people often said, why are the Vive and things so expensive? And it wasn't that they were expensive, it was that the Quest was so cheap. They were
Right.
selling them so good. Quite an aggressive pricing strategy
Right.
to be the leader in that market. And what I'm excited about with Cambria is that it's the first real solid that I'm aware of, like real solid integration of VR and AR, this kind of like hybrid headset. And I'm in terms of gaming, and this is why I think it would be a great opportunity potentially to become a bit of a gaming platform too, not just work focused, is because you think of the mixed reality experiences developers could create with that headset.
Yeah.
I was just recently doing a video on some of the best pass through mixed reality experiences you can do on your Quest.
Nice.
And even though it's very limited, grainy black and white cameras,
Sure.
tracking not the best, you can feel the potential there. I'm getting that same level of excitement I saw with some of the early, virtual reality demos, where it's not like fully immersive, but you kind of get it. You get like, wow, there's a lot of potential here. And I think
Right.
with the Cambria's tech, that can really take it to next level. And I'm most excited to see how the developers use that and make it into these exciting experiences that integrate your real world. Because we know that Cambria does have depth sensors too, so you'd think that as well the mixed reality experiences are going to be, I don't know, quite well integrated compared to the stuff we have now.
So speaking of depth sensors, uh,
Mm.
this damn thing has had a depth sensor on it for like what 4 years now, and they hardly do anything with it.
Mm.
And so yeah, so Apple with their depth sensors, how long have they been talking about AR? And it's been like 3 or 4 years, and they actually talked about VR for a little bit, and they showed a developer doing VR on an iMac and playing what eventually became Vader Immortal. And so that was before the Quest even. And then they went silent for a while, and then eventually here we are again. And the Apple AR VR headset. Now, first of all, it's not going to look anything like that, because that looks too on the nose. What do you see Apple doing? Because I, for the life of me, don't understand what they are going for, unless they're doing something that I just have never imagined.
Well, of course, we're entering the rumor zone now, because I know that it hasn't even been fully confirmed by
Right.
Apple. But from what I hear, I don't think that Apple know exactly what they're doing either, because from what I remember back in 2015, I think Apple were throwing up the idea of a headset,
Mhm.
and according to Upload VR, I read that, or I heard that Apple were in 2019 they had something potentially to go, almost ready to go, but they made some major changes. So, from what I understand, they had this base station associated with the headset, and one of the higher ups, Johnny Ive, I think they they didn't want the base station. They wanted to get rid of it, have it a standalone device like the Quest.
Sure.
But by that time, the development team have already put all this work into this base station and that kind of stuff. So they had to go back to the drawing board, and I think that's why we're seeing it come later than kind of expected. This Apple headset, and yeah, from what I know, and again, like I say, these are rumors. They're trying to develop this headset, which I believe again is for work purposes. So it'll probably be a competitor to the Cambria if and when it's released.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of challenges that they have to face. So even though Apple can develop their own chips and their own hardware, something which Facebook has to or Meta has to outsource,
Right.
there's still lots of challenges, because apparently there's meant to be like 12 sensors in this thing. And something I heard was that the outside of it was going to potentially show what was going on with your eyes. So you
Yeah.
could see
Yeah.
the person's, yeah. And
Yeah.
so all these things that are great, but it'd be a challenge to pack into this small headset, because you're talking overheating. How do you pack all these 12 sensors, into such a small, comfortable device?
Well, and I think that's
Um,
where,
mm,
where the M1 comes in. The M1 should handle
mm,
overheating. Like they showed it during the Apple announcements of the M1 and subsequent M1 releases. Comparing it
mm,
to an NVIDIA graphics card, which I don't think they should have done that unless they can also deliver the frame rate and the same graphic quality, because that's what everyone wanted to do after that. But I think the point that they were more so trying to make is we're getting close to an NVIDIA quality speed and graphics, but at a much lower power threshold. And maybe they weren't so much saying that they were talking about the M1 now in this MacBook that they were talking about, and releasing in that video, but maybe that they were more so trying to give the hint of, we have something coming that's going to use this, that is going to be portable and that
mm,
won't need all that battery and energy power, but it will deliver the graphical power. Because right now the Quest on that Samsung Snapdragon chip, I think it's doing a fantastic job. When they initially announced that, I was like, oh no, because like I was so used to PCVR and the incredible graphics of like this 2080 Ti or 1080 Ti graphics card. Like how can, like no one's going to want this cartoony stuff on a Quest, but no, I was wrong. They did a great job of it, and it's only gotten better, you know? The thing that I can't figure out with Apple is I don't see what they can do, what's not already being done, and that's not Apple. So the thing that actually excites me is that Apple is known for doing something that maybe people haven't yet considered, and it may flop. Whatever, you know, whether it's the watch or whether it's the iPad, or, you know, they've got a ton of things that they've made that ended up not becoming anything. But at least it sounds like they have an idea, and it's exciting to know that they actually have a processor to back it up. And to your point, they can sell it at cost because it's their processor and they're not having to buy it from somebody else.
Yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely. And so, you know, we could have this device that's affordable to the commercial market. And if they pull it off, which, you know, I don't doubt they can, we'll probably see one of the best headsets, you know, that's on the market out there. And that links in you know, links in with Apple iOS, people's iPhones. And, you know, that's a big selling point too. And Macs. And a lot of people own those devices. And so to have something that links in to your headset that way too is going to be a huge advantage, because it obviously going to be compatible with the Apple ecosystem.
Right.
So I think when they do come on the market, it's going to be a big game changer, and not necessarily knock the Quest off its pedestal, because I think the Quest is a different machine, game focused, but Project Cambria will be the one that will be probably fighting against in terms of its market share. So
yeah, for sure.
I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what comes of it. And you know, I've heard rumors that the release is imminent. So whether we see something this year or next, I'm not sure.
The release is imminent for Cambria.
The Apple headset. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I know that. I you know, it's all rumors. Like we've said. I just don't. I can't see them doing anything that's going to be different, and that's what I'm worried about. That I'd rather them, you know, like John Carmack always said of like their games, you know, like Doom and Quake, like it'll be finished when it's finished. And Apple definitely has the capital to just wait until it's done. So if they don't release this year because they're not ready, that's totally fine by me. You know, and also time flies anymore. So 2023 is like, might as well be tomorrow. So I have no problem waiting, but I'd rather have it now. I hope though that they don't make it so that it has to connect to an iPhone, because that limits the people that can buy it. I mean, the great majority of the world has an Android device, not an iPhone. And I mean, I use an iPhone, so I'm going to be there day one, not a problem. But like when the watch first came out, you had to have an iPhone. There was a lot of people that wanted a watch and couldn't buy one. So it'll be interesting to see which direction they go with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it would be a mistake to neglect people with these Android devices and not have something in there for them.
Sure.
But I think, you know, one of the biggest selling points for this Apple device is firstly, the name. I think it's going to be probably a stylish device based on Apple's product line. They always look pretty good. You know, how they develop their devices, pretty sleek and stylish. But also, it's those Apple stores too. You know, like I say, it's trying these things on. It's what gets people to realize what a big deal virtual reality is. When Apple start advertising this, and people going to the Apple store, maybe to look for a phone and think, oh, there's the headset, I'll give that a go, you know, and then realize the mind-blowing potential that VR has. I think that's one of the biggest selling points here. And I guess same question as with the Cambria, would you buy one of these when it does release?
Oh yeah, I buy everything. I shouldn't probably buy everything, but you know, I tend to. I get too excited, and especially like the Quest. I remember I just bought it. It didn't matter how much it was going to be. Index, Pimax, Vive Pro. I can go on. Got a Go behind me. I've got a Virtual Boy down behind me. So I'm all over the place. So yeah, I'm going to buy it. But will the average Quest consumer, the VR enthusiast, some of them, the guy that bought a Quest because he had a good experience with one but barely touches it, definitely not going to be buying a Cambria. You know, and insurance companies, remember the preview that they showed of the Quest, and like an insurance company training people and showing them how to do things, you know, with hand tracking. I think that's probably going to be why it's $1,000 or whatever dollars. But what they're going to do there is they're going to get, just like Apple has done by putting all of these sensors and things inside phones that aren't getting used, because they're just bringing the cost down, so that when they finally bring out their AR device or their VR device, all those sensors and everything they've been making for years, they got the tool and die done. They're just going to be able to release it for much cheaper. And I'm assuming that's what they're doing with Cambria. They're going to be selling it to large corporations that are going to spend $1,000 or $1,500 or whatever it is. And then by the time that, you know, a year or two rolls around, that technology is going to be already, the tool and die is going to be done. The warehouses, the shipping, the logistics, all that's going to be done. And it's just going to be cheaper altogether. So I think, are we at time for you?
I think so. Yeah, I'm going to have to head off.
All right. But, so go ahead and just give your name and your channel again, and then I'll give mine, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tony, as you can see from VR Reviews, just type in VR Reviews on YouTube. You might have to filter by channel, and I should pop up there. And I focus mainly on Quest stuff. That's my main focus at the moment.
Sure. And let's bring that up on so everyone can see. And my name is Greg, and I'm with King of Nerds, and I'm trying to type into this at the same time. And I really kind of focus on, you know, a little bit of everything currently. I do a lot of hardware reviews as of lately, and, you know, game reviews, and just trying to do new and fun things. Oops, sorry about that.
I played a few Oculus
if you want to find
games.
Me, you need to go to King of Nerds and put VR at the end, and then you'll find my channel. So hey, there we are. All right. Well, Tony, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. It was our first live stream, and it actually went a heck of a lot better than I expected. So thank you for taking the time to do this.
No worries. Thanks for having me, Greg. Let's do it again sometime.
Yep. And thank you for everyone that commented and joined and liked it. I really do appreciate it. All right. Thanks so much, Tony.
Thanks, Greg.
All right. Bye-bye.